Hi, I am Lauren Olson. I am the Zero Waste Manager at Centric, a maker of compostable food service ware. And we will be joined today by Hans from One Happy Bowl in Aruba to talk about zero waste practices in Aruba. Hi again. I think Hans is joining us just shortly. Hi, Hans.
Hello. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for joining us. So, World Centric, for those of you that don't know, we make compostable food serviceware, and all of our stuff is fully compostable, and a lot of it comes from rapidly renewable plants such as bamboo or agricultural byproducts such as sugarcane bagasse. It's left over from the sugarcane process. And we're so pleased to welcome Hans, who has a cafe in Aruba. Wish I was there, of course, called One Happy Bowl. So I guess, Hans, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us more about One Happy Bowl?
Yes, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, we have, as we call, healthy food cafe on Aruba. We started about, yeah, we opened 1.5 years ago, so quite not so long at the moment. Yeah, we wanted to, yeah, start a company on the island and offer, yeah, more healthy food, as that was, especially in the time about 2 years ago, quite limited. And that, together with our concept being environmental friendly and promote exercise, was a way for us to say, okay, we want to contribute to the island with our concept. And yeah, about 2 years ago, we moved to Aruba. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what caused you to move to Aruba? Just
Um,
curious.
yeah,
Like,
we
just wondering, like, how I can get there, you know?
my wife and I mainly always had like kind of a dream, let's say it like that, to start with this concept and to make it work. And we got an opportunity to start in Aruba. Of course, we came here quite often on holidays, and we just noticed that, especially with healthy food and the concept we thought of. Yeah, it was the good place to start it, and we would really be an add-on to all the other places you can go for food and drinks. And we got, yeah, in the opportunity also financially to say like, okay, let's quit our jobs in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and just yeah, go for the adventure, and we'll see where it will bring us. So yeah, and here we are.
Congratulations. I love that. I think it's always so awesome when people set their goal and pursue their dreams. And I think you have a great example of that. But other than talking about how to get to Aruba, we really wanted to talk about compostable products as well as single use plastic. Um, so tell us more about why you use world centric products and maybe your own viewpoints too on plastics.
Yeah, yeah. One of the items we also, what I said before, is we wanted to also be environmental friendly, or as much as possible. As we know, yeah, every company, of course, leaves a footprint. But the main thing we decided before opening, everything we sell or people take our food, or if we sell water or a juice, we will do zero plastic. So we also started with a zero plastic policy.
Oh,
Um, um, so yeah, in that way, we also, of course, needed products for our um, takeout coffee, or if people wanted to take our lunch bowls home or to work. Yeah, we also wanted to use a quality product and a product which is environmental friendly as possible. And then we ended up with compostable materials. And of course, there are a lot of materials available, but we also know and experience that there are also materials around the globe which has maybe a green logo on it or something which still doesn't say, is this what I think it is? Can I trust it? So the main reason why we also chose for World Centric is that it's certified compostable. And the quality also for food is good. We tested a lot of products, of course, but you can imagine if you use hot products like a soup, also if you put a lid over it, it needs to stay good. And if you move from plastic to compostable, you also experience that the quality is different or the material is different and it reacts different than what people used to do as plastics. And yeah, we in our own test and private things, we just found out that World Centric with the brand where they stand for, but also with the quality and the certified compostable products was just a good match for us.
Yeah, I love that you started that cafe with zero plastics in mind. I think that's, so much easier when you set that on the onset rather than trying to change once you've already started. So I think that's really great that you had that concept early on. Now you mentioned that fully compostable is really important to you. Is there composting available on the island of Aruba, or is that still in development?
That's still in development. Luckily, you see also some small initiative of individual people, and at this moment also some companies collaborating to get things more involved. But as you also might know that, of course, the compostable items, also a compost facility, you need to have to, in the end to use the compost facilities. But on the other side, it's also important, of course, that with the whole process in which compostable materials being made is, of course, far more better than non-compostable materials. So that's also one item in which we personally thought, like, okay, if you want to use something, how is it being made and how is that process? What's the impact on the environment to make that product? That's also one of the reasons.
Yeah, really understand that. Yeah, it's best not to support the petrochemical industry. But can you tell us more about the single-use plastic ban in Aruba? I believe that you were a part in initially forming that concept. I'd love to hear more about how that all started because now Aruba is really leading a lot of the Caribbean islands in terms of being in the environment and caring about the environment.
Yes, that's correct. A few years ago, Aruba banned the plastic bags you get in the grocery store or in a shop when you buy something. And from there, there were also initiatives about, okay, should we not do more, especially on an island with small. We have the sea at our doorstep, and a lot, especially Aruba is relying on tourism. We get about almost 2 million tourists a year. So you also can imagine that if people go on a holiday, they drink a juice, they take food to the beach. So that was also a thing for them to say, okay, we need to also take the next step in just banning the single-use plastics, as that is, the daily effect is visible every day on the beach. Of course, you have a lot of people that act in a good way. They take the stuff home or throw it away. But in Aruba, luckily, we also have some wind with these temperatures. But also that, of course, something blows away or people leave it behind and it directly comes in the sea. In the Caribbean, we know with all the islands that that effect is there. So we're glad that that the government really acted on it and decided. I think it's almost even a year ago that this ban will be in effect. But they also did it in a good way. So they from the university there was a work group with students, which talked to companies, which talked to locals, which talked to tourists to see, okay, what do we need to do and in which way can we do it effectively and good. Today is the day. So that means that all single-use plastics, so you can imagine if you take a coffee or you take some food out, but also plates and cups, which maybe people usually use on a birthday or a picnic. All that single-use plastics are prohibited as of now. But next to that, it's also not allowed and will be checked that it's not even to get it on the island. So the import is also, as of now, not possible anymore, which of course is an important step to prevent it even coming here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. I know Hawaii just passed something very similar, but they're still, behind in terms of where Aruba's at. So that's great that as of today, you can't have any imports of it and you can't have any use of it. And I think I saw that this initiative started in 2017, so it really shows like how long it takes to get something like that going. I don't know, were you involved in that process and maybe have any comments on how that went or any tips for other people that want to start something like that?
I was one of the people that was interviewed by the students from the university that also handed over their research to the government. And from there, I was also able to talk to some people of the government about, the impact and also practical, because of course you can ban it, but you also have to look at the practical side of it for companies that they have an alternative and that they can move forward, but they also have the time to, to use the stock they have, because sometimes you buy in bulk and you invest in a company. Also, if it's maybe styrofoam or plastic, you also need to give companies the chance to, to use their investment and to not directly cut it off and saying like, we have something, we thought of something, and the next month it will go into effect. And that's also important, of course, to get the people behind you and to make it something that everyone is behind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great that you were able to show that it's entirely possible to go plastic free before the ban. That way, other people knew that it was very practical to do that. Why do you feel it's important for businesses to show that their environmental practices? It seems like you're very open and apparent about it. Why do you think that's important?
But as I said before, every business, of course, if you want to or not, you will leave a footprint, anyway. You can try to reduce it, of course, and try to do something back. But I think we are also in a phase in the world that we have to say like, okay, we know things are changing also with the environment, and it's also time for a change on this item and to change things in the way we are doing things. We are using materials and mostly out of habits also. And there's a time, and I think most people will agree, and if not, they should, that you need to also stand up as an individual and as a company and cannot be in the mode of waiting and we'll see what is changing. And people also expect more of companies to take initiative and show what they are doing, be more transparent, proactive in that way. And I think also companies nowadays see that if they are proactive and if they change things in a positive way, also for the environment, that they also can use that as an advantage in their marketing and promotion, and that people rather, if they have to choose, go to a company that also actively uses environmental friendly product, try to reduce its footprint, or any other things related to reduce the impact of the environment, that they will choose for that company. As consumers, people that using products, if they go to a shop or to a restaurant, it's not only eating the food, but it's the whole experience, which has become more important. And people nowadays want to also belong to maybe a brand or a community in which also the environment and their way of acting on that is just getting more important. So in that way, companies and individuals also, I think, no longer can stand aside, but yeah, you will have to do something in either way.
Yeah, I think that's very much correct. That there is no time for companies to pretend like they don't have to do something right now, and customers are demanding that.
Yeah.
Why is Aruba especially vulnerable to the effects of ocean plastic? You mentioned like people littering on the beach. Is there other issues too? Like I know there's those islands where people take pictures of the poor birds that have died and they just have all of that plastic pollution in their body. And that island seems particularly the name is escaping me right now, susceptible to plastic pollution due to the ocean currents. Is it something that happens in Aruba too, where you have plastics coming from other places and washing up on your shores?
Definitely. Everybody knows the beautiful pictures on Aruba from the beach sides. But we also have another side, which is a nice side, which also our natural park is there. But it's a beautiful site with rock formations and things like that. But that's also the site with a lot of waste and garbage and plastics are ending up on the beaches on that side, which coming from other countries directly out of the seas. A lot of initiatives on Aruba are there with beach cleanups and things like that. But that's also a part the people don't always see, because Aruba is also known as the dividivi tree, the fufoti trees that grow in one direction, but that also has to do with the wind. The wind is always in coming from one direction. So all the waste that comes out of the sea, you won't see directly on the beautiful beaches, but on the other side of the island. And that shows when people load several pickups full of garbage bags with all the plastics that they pick up, and that's something I think now also more companies and individuals are showing, like, hey, be aware of what you're doing because this is the effect. Next to that, we of course have a lot of turtles that laying the eggs on the beaches. It's also the season now, so some people, if you're lucky, you see the big turtles coming on the beach laying the eggs, or the eggs coming out during sunset, and dozens of small turtles are running from the beach towards the sea. So you then directly also know that if something comes in the sea, what the effect can be, and that animals can get hurt. So we have the sea at our doorstep, so it's more into our face when the garbage is on the beach from people using it, or it comes on our beaches from the sea, from other places. So it's a small island, so it's more into our face, which makes you maybe faster realize what the effect is if we just throw away things without thinking of the effect.
Yeah, that's incredible that you have, such diversity of wildlife at your doorstep there with the sea turtles and all that. It must be difficult, to talk about the amount of ocean plastic while also talking about how beautiful the country is, and just thinking, out of sight, out of mind, and also you don't want to bring it up because you don't want people to think there's plastic on your beaches, but yet you also want people to be aware that there's plastic on our beaches. You know what I mean? So that must be difficult for people in Aruba or in the government to talk about these things, because they don't want people to feel like the beaches are full of garbage, but at the same time, they want people to know that their garbage has an effect.
Yeah, and it's also people in general are, of course, and that's what I said before. A lot of things are habits. Already some months ago, maybe even a year, I don't know exactly. Aruba already started with all the restaurants and hotels with saying we do not give straws with a drink. That used to be a standard. When you order a cocktail or things, that you automatically get a straw in it. And a few months ago, a year ago, it was more together on the island, restaurants, hotels, that we're not doing that anymore. But then you see that people ordering a cocktail, they really got, really mad and calling out names because they didn't get a straw. And then you see that it's really a sense of a habit, and educating each other again about, okay, what is the urgency of needing that straw, and where will that straw end up in the end if you go to the beach and with your cocktail? And but the first reaction of the people, that they almost get mad instantly for not getting a straw, maybe shows a little bit about the way we have to go, and in the sense of a habit. And we used to have that straw in a cocktail, but is it really necessary to use it? And of course, as of now, the straws are also prohibited, only for medical use, for example, in the hospital or things like that. It will be used.
Yeah. Are paper straws allowed on the island?
Paper straws are allowed, but the same is a little bit applicable. That I have to say, most of the places and hotels still have the policy to only give it if people say they really need it, or maybe some exception for some children or things like that. But we really try to, and of course, World Centric sells disposables and compostables, but I always say only use it when it's necessary. And I think in that way, I think also World Centric gives that message that if you don't need to use anything, don't use it, and if you need to use it, then use the best disposables that you have available. I think that should be.
Yeah, I like that hierarchy of needs aspect of it. Yeah, that if you don't need it, then don't use it. So going back to that plastic ban, it also includes a ban on oxybenzone sunscreens. Do you know much about that? Can you explain to us a little bit more about sunscreens and their effect on the ocean environment?
Yes, I have to say I also learned that about 2-3 years ago, and I also wasn't directly aware about the effect. But yeah, what I said, if you have almost 2 million tourists a year, and if you can imagine, they all use sunscreen. That's a lot of sunscreen. But if you imagine that the oxybenzone that is in the sunscreen directly damages reefs, which in the end like kind of bleaches them, to say it like that, so they lose the color and really damages the roofs. But next to that, they the oxobenzyne also misforms baby reefs while they're growing. So it also has an
Oh.
effect on the baby reefs, and so they will misform and will not grow in a natural way. So knowing that and seeing a lot of reefs that are damaged, if you go snorkeling or diving on the island, you
Mhm.
directly see the impact on that on a year to year to year basis. Um, and yeah, that is also one of the reasons to say, okay, that's something we need to stop now, especially that there are, worldwide there are enough sunscreens available that don't have it oxybenzone in them. So
Mhm.
should we not also include that in the ban? And also, even on Aruba, there are local sunscreens without oxybenzone and even organic ones. So
Mhm.
there is no reason to not use it, especially if people just know the effect. And I think the same as me, if you don't see it or you didn't hear about it, then of course you're not aware. But I think with this ban, and if people hear it, there would be not even one person saying, "Okay, I think it's unnecessary or a stupid idea."
Yeah, I know I only heard of it a couple years ago too, and I was completely shocked. I had no idea. I was always concerned about sunscreens for personal health, slathering a lot of things on your skin. You always kind of be like, is this good or not? But I never had made that connection between going in the water and water health. I'm glad that that is becoming something that's more put in front of us. Um, so, what else can people do to protect the oceans and the environment?
Yeah, I think in general, what we also talked about before, you also do not talk about only about disposables, if a coffee cup or some box where you put food in, but it's of course waste in general. Do you again the habit? Do you really um, need to use that, or do you really um, need it in that way? You also see still a lot of companies, if you take out food, they just give you a bunch of napkins with
Mm-hmm.
it. Why not even using it? So again, that also has to do in habit. Instead of changing it around, you don't give out a napkin or a straw only if people ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that are small things that are just habits from people or how they're trained within a company or how the company always did it. Because if you need a napkin, a normal person just needs generally one napkin, so why should you even need a bunch? But it's a habit about easy to just give it, and maybe some people ask for another one, so it's easier to already give them a bunch instead of um, helping them maybe in a later stage when they're finished with the food or something. So in general, it's for every individual and company. Maybe also just reviewing what do we use, what do I do. It's the same discussion that we also maybe like to shower a long time, and that
Mm-hmm.
in the end some people use a timer to know, hey, I have to
Mm-hmm.
just be aware of what I'm doing and how I'm using things in my day to day life. Do I always go with the car? Do I always let the water running? So in general, I think, and I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's the day-to-day habits, and just maybe go through your day one time and just write down what or think about it. What do I do on a day-to-day business? And
Mm-hmm.
each of that step, does that affect the environment, and what can I do about that? I think if we do that, we already um, yeah come a far way, and that of course that's the same for companies
Mm-hmm.
in that way, and see like, okay, um, if you just review yourself and not get also, not blame other people about what they do. Because when I was a teenager, I also used a plastic cup because I was not aware of, the effect, and it was not explained and cannot do. So who am I to blame someone else for using a plastic cup? The only thing I can do is try to explain someone about the effect, and hopefully they change, or they see how they can do things differently. So it's something we can do together and try to explain together. And if I come somewhere and I see something, hey, is it necessary? I only talk about how I do it, and I hope I can inspire them in a way in which other people inspire me. And in that way, you pay it forward, and together you can make a change. That's something I believe.
I think that's really great advice, just to, take a closer look at your daily activities and, see what things you can change. And I always tell people too to, just start with one thing. Like I think a great thing to start with, you mentioned showering, but, keeping down that time, but also, yeah, just like maybe using reusable towels around your home to clean up rather than paper towels. Just think about like one thing that you could change out that you normally like throw away or dispose of that could maybe be replaced with something else.
Yes, yes. And there's also, you see that also hotels and things are, of course, busy. When you sometimes go to a hotel, of course, they have like, if you want to keep the towel, leave it, put it only on the floor when you cannot use it again, else you won't change it. Of course, that are small initiatives. But what you said in general, it is also to see it as a challenge in a nice thing, you can do, and make it also a challenge, and I will say a fun thing, and turn it around. And we also try to promote it. If people, for example, come to us for the lunch, if they take their own bowl, that they get a discount. So you can, you can make something fun and challenge of it for your customers or for other people, instead of saying, don't use it, don't do it, but make it into a positive thing, but directly change behavior. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hans, I'm so impressed with what you've been able to accomplish there on Aruba, and I hope that you have a great season despite COVID and everything that's going on, because I just love seeing businesses like yours, and I hope one day also that I can come visit and experience your beautiful island, and maybe help out with some cleanup efforts as well. So thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate our conversation.
Yeah, thank you too. And yeah, you're more than welcome one time on Aruba, who knows? And yeah, as I said, and it's also important, and that's also a message World Centric, of course, sends out that, giving good products with a message behind them, which are way far more better than other products for the environment. And I think also that's something for World Centric to keep going, and also making that change to companies, and maybe also governments to make them aware to, just as Aruba, go for the change, and doing differently. So it's something we trying to do. That's something you as World Centric trying to do, and hopefully more people will follow us in that way.
We can only hope. All right. Well, thank you, Hans, and one happy bowl. Have a great day.
Great day. Thank you.